Hey everyone, it's Kimmy. I am Mama on a Mission, and today I am doing a video that I actually have never done before, and that is a monthly compilation of what is selling in my shops. Now, the only reason why I'm doing this is because sometimes I get a little behind. I try to be as honest and real with you guys as possible on showing you guys all the items that are selling in my shops and eBay, Poshmark, and Depop. So in an effort to make sure that I stay on course, I occasionally am going to be doing a monthly what sold, essentially showing you guys the very, very best of my sales and possibly a couple of my worst sales, but mostly my best sales for a month. And so for this month, it is for the month of May. Now, I don't want anyone to think that this is like just a recap of all the things I've already been talking about. I am putting in the best of the best and not necessarily all the things that have been covered so far on my channel. So I promise you these monthly recaps aren't going to be just entirely the same thing that I've already talked about. To be honest with you, I'm like 2 weeks behind on my what sold videos right now. So I think doing a monthly recap and really showing you guys the best of the best is one of the ways that I can continue to give you guys information that is really important. And also, you know, for me to go over some of my best sales. So it's like a good thing all around. So hopefully you guys are on board with that. I was actually surprised at my May numbers. Surprised and honestly super pumped. They were better than I expected. So let's go through that. You guys know I do 3 platforms, eBay, Poshmark, and Depop, like I just said. So this is for the entire month of May. This is sales numbers. You guys want to get any guesses? I'm going to give you a couple seconds. You know, usually my what sold I do like 2 days and 5 day what sold videos. This is for the entire month of May 2025. And any guesses? Give you two more seconds. I was honestly surprised, and I feel very blessed and thankful for this number. I was shocked. Here we go. Remember, I do this part-time. I have another thing that I always just kind of mention, that I have another part-time side hustle that I do in order to bring money into my family and help support my sons. So I usually say I spend 20 to 25 hours a week on this part-time side hustle in order to support the family. So part-time, my sales for May were $5,011.54. I was like in shock. Maybe I just got so used to doing the 2 days and the 5 days that I just really wasn't putting all the pieces together. For 1 month, I did $5,011.54 in sales. And I think that's fantastic. I think for a part-time online reseller I primarily do bread and butter. I pick up things that you guys can find literally all the time. I truly believe that. I mean, if you've watched my channel, if you've watched my what solds or my thrift hauls, like I am not selling Gucci out there. Do I occasionally have like great sales? Absolutely. I mean, a lot of these sales that I'm going to show you are anywhere between $80 all the way down to $30. But my point is I'm not one of those sellers who's selling $100 Nike shoes all the time. I'm like just an average person. I am nobody special. I say that to you guys all the time. I'm just an average person. I mean, some of my bread and butter brands are things that nobody else would pick up, honestly. And I don't really blame them, but it's the core of my business. It's my bread and butter. It's where I make $10, $15, $20 per item, and I just do it over and over. And clearly it's working in some way, because I was even impressed with that number. So if I was able to sustain that all year long for 12 months, that would be $60,000 in sales part-time. as an online reseller. And I think that's fantastic because my other side hustle does very similar numbers. And if you remember, I started this many, many years ago in order to be able to stay home with my sons, but still be able to support us financially. So I basically wanted to be a stay-at-home mom, but I knew we were too poor to do that, basically. So I needed to find a way to be able to make muscle, to make money. I don't know where that came. I was going to say hustle and money. And those words just kind of combined. To hustle and make money, in order to support my family, but also to be able to take my kids to all the things, to drive them to school. If they were sick, I could stay home for 5 days and honestly not have to worry about it. If I had to work at 6 a.m. or if I had to work at 9 p.m., that's what I was able to do. So it really has given me the freedom and, the ability to be the mom that I really wanted to be and still provide for my family. Because let's be honest, I don't have any special uncle somewhere who's just handed me millions of dollars. So I still have to be able to pay for bread and milk and eggs. And so this is what does it for me. And I'm really happy with these numbers. I think they're really great. I feel very empowered, honestly, to be able to be a great mom to my kids, have the flexibility, and to still be able to support the family. So I just went on a whole rant there. I just lost half of you. I'm so sorry. But $5,011 for the month of May. I think that's great. I am going to, my computer shut off here because I've been talking too long already. But I'm going to turn myself around and show you guys exactly some of my best sales. I did throw in a couple stinker sales, things like I wouldn't pick up again, but mostly some of my best sales, brands to look out for, styles, things that are trending, to show you guys these, June, July, I always say the J's are my worst months. So I really don't anticipate June or July matching this number. And then when people are going back to school and back to fall, then usually the sales pick up. Historically, that's just what has happened for me. So I'm not saying, if you specialize in swimsuits and surfboards, then you probably are going to have fantastic sales for June and July. But for me, historically, the J months are a little bit lower. So I'm still, really happy with May. My expectations are to just kind of heed the course and then hopefully in August and September really ramp it up again for that late third and fourth quarter. So you guys check in with me. What do you think? Comment on any of the items that I have here that have sold. Ask any questions. I try my best to answer back to everybody as much as I can. And like I said, I'm just really thankful. I'm really excited about those numbers. I will say some of my listing has been a little bit down. May is a busy month, you guys. What do you guys got going on? Do you have graduations or events, end of school? You're planning for spring, summer, all the things. Am I the only one that feels like May is a complete chaotic mess? And then you go into June and then you want to enjoy spring and summer and you're still a chaotic mess? Maybe it's just me. Maybe I shouldn't be Mama on a Mission. I should be Mess of a Mom. I don't know. I'll have to come up with something. Hot Mess Express Mom instead. I don't know. But I'm very happy with these numbers. I am thankful you guys are here. I'm going to show you guys the best and a couple of the worst sales for the month of May 2025 for me. All right, I'm starting with some Depop sales here. And this sale was so much fun. I found this at a regular thrift store for $2.99. And if you didn't know, I am from Wisconsin and we are Green Bay all the way, baby. But this is a vintage kids item. So if you have the time or energy or any desire to look at kids items, there may be money to be made there. especially in vintage items. So right here on the item, it says 1995. That makes it 30 years old. Vintage 1995 NFL Green Bay Packers one-piece toddler size 24 months. Look how cute this is. Notice the vintage lettering there. This sold for $35. That's a great sale, and honestly, it's a very unique and rare piece. So, like I said, if you are into or willing to look at kids' items, don't be afraid to do that. Now, this was a fun skirt for me. Vintage Y2K skirt, size large, tiered, layered, ruffle, witchy goth. Now, what I really loved about this was the middle part here. See how it has this like ruffly layered? That gave me the witchy, vampire, fairy goth type of vibes, and that is why I picked it up. And it really isn't a surprise that it's sold on Depop, where some of the more trendy items or certain styles are trending. And this sold for $39 plus shipping. And I really don't think the brand added any value. So I mentioned that to you guys a lot of times with my style-based pieces. The brand could add a little bit of value or it could not. And I really don't think the brand added any value here. It's the style. It's the tiered, it's the layers, it's the ruffles, the ties, the pull-on, all of those things. This is a great sale. What else do we have here? Ooh, yeah, this was a really nice, another mostly style-based piece, and this sold really quickly. Vintage Y2K Jonathan Martin 100% silk, size 6 midi slip dress. And I put in the keywords fairy core and sexy, and this was honestly both of them. If you can find a slip dress or a nightie that's 100% silk, it might be worth looking at a little bit closer. This had some really pretty details. Let's see if I know I put in a picture like see how this has like this floral eyelet. It is lined, solid black, 100% silk, vintage, just a very, very pretty piece here. It sold for $46 on Depop, and that's a great sale. Now, if you remember my thrift haul not long ago, I absolutely adored this piece. I got it at a church sale. It was at church sale I mentioned back in my thrift hauls that they just wanted to like give me things and I wanted to give them my money. And we went back and forth many times. I'm like, no, take my money, please. And they were just very sweet, and it was a great haul overall. And I love this. Look how cute these little fish are. The brand is Fresh Produce. It is a vintage item with a fish print. I put in boho and colorful. You could go hippie, retro, animal, all kinds of different keywords with this. Vintage fresh produce, if it's made in the USA, does pretty well for me. Look for that paper tag. Look, it says, "Oh, happy day." I don't know if I noticed that at first. I mean, somebody put that in like a typewriter somewhere or some kind of like older computer, and they put that on the tag there. Technology was different like 20, 30 years ago. So very cute piece. Again, not surprised it sold on Depop, $36.27. I remember showing you guys these shoes and thinking everyone is going to think I'm a nutcase. I picked these up at the Goodwill bins, and my thought was like something with the Wizard of Oz, like the Good Witch or something. I just couldn't let these go to the landfill. Vintage, all over sequin bling, low heel shoes. I put in party, disco, and retro, and they really all are applicable. Look at the sequins. Look at the details. Like the amount of effort someone 30 years ago had to put into these shoes. I could not leave them behind, and I'm thankful someone loved them as much as I did. So at the bins, if they were a pound, they cost me $1.29, and I sold them for $23.49. Now on Depop, your fees are very low. I am going to say I made about $20 off of this one pair of shoes, which is honestly a great flip for me. Now, this is a really funky and unique item that I found at a regular thrift store. I paid $5.99 for this. It was new with tags. I loved the patchwork and the plaids and all the different prints and colors that went with this. Now, interesting enough, like I would have thought this would have sold more towards fall, so I priced it up a little bit, but it sold pretty quickly. Even though, I don't know, this gives me fall vibes. But hey, you can rock whatever style you want, whenever you want. So I'm happy that this sold very quickly. Again, $37.81. The brand is Yesno. I really don't think that's a brand that is, I don't know that brand, but it's a wool blend women's cardigan sweater, size 2X. I put in patchwork abstract. I could have put in fall for sure, but this is a great flip and a very fun item to sell. Now, I remember telling you guys that I was like super pumped when I found these Zegna men's items at a regular thrift store. And I don't know how to say the name, Ermengildo. It's a Zegna Cachetta light cashmere silk blend shirt, and they sold in days. This is one of my best sales for sure for May. Made in Italy, Zegna, Zegna. Also, if you find things that are silk or cashmere, they could be worth looking a little bit closer. And this even had a flaw. Look at this picture. There was a little bit of a discoloration, and I put that in all the information. I detailed that. I always mark that. This sold fast. And I paid $6.99 at a regular thrift store. I got 2 or 3 pieces that same day, and I believe it was probably from the same person. Very nice piece here. Sold for a good amount, $73.47, very quickly with a flaw. If you find this tag, Zegna, look at it. It might be worth some money. You guys know I do or have been doing quite a bit in dresses, particularly like Y2K or fairy goth type of dresses. Look how cute this is. Note to self. Okay, so this is vintage Y2K baby doll mini dress, size large. I put in Hoko Prom and fairy goth. The brand was Amy or Jamie, I don't even know. It doesn't even matter, quite frankly. It is made in USA, and it is from that era, and that's what is super important. The other things that are important here are, like, the purple and black combo is super popular. There's a sheer overlay and a tie around the back with the baby doll cut underneath the bust line. So if you're taking notes right now, those are the things you want to write down. If you are someone who wants to find and resell vintage Y2K, baby doll, fairy goth, Hoko style dresses, this sold quick. I believe it was 2 weeks for $54.87. A fantastic flip, and it's really not even prom or Hoko season. So that even more so tells you how much some of those items can be worth. I remember showing you guys this brand when I had picked it up. I had never heard of this brand before, and I was like super excited about the comps. Jaffa, Jafa, leather brown heel sandal. I put strappy summer pump. It was a European size 37 or a 6.5, which is honestly pretty small, but look how cute these are. They're boho, they're hippie. They have like this kind of earthy feel to them. Very cute, but I do believe the brand Jaffa elevated this and made them more valuable. Jafa, Jaffa. And these sold for $64.17. Now, this is a shoe I have talked to you guys before about many times. This brand in general in shoes does well for me. It's G.H. Bass. The style of shoe is Wee Junes. I don't even know what that means or how they came up with that. Wee Junes. This is a bolo. If you find Wee Junes, it's pretty much a pickup unless they're falling apart. Penny loafers, size 8.5. I put in the keywords executive and preppy. But you really almost don't even need keywords on these. If you find a GH Bass Wee June, it should be a pickup. So keep your eye out for these. They sold pretty quickly for $39.07. Now, you guys know I am trying to do a little bit more in not only the men's category, but specifically the blazer category. And this is an example. I'm trying to learn more on a vintage Ralph Lauren blazer in navy, union made in Canada, size 54, which is a suit jacket size, 54. They're numbers for the men a lot of times. There you can see the made in Canada. Here's the Ralph Lauren. What would have made this a little bit better of a sale if it was a better material? Cashmere, wool, linen, something like that. However, this still sold for a good amount. I got it at a regular thrift store for $6.99, and this sold for $41. So still a great sale. The hard part about blazers is, at least at my regular thrift stores, there's 100 blazers, and you might find one or two that are worth flipping. A lot of them are not worth anything. So that's the hard part in blazers. I'm trying to learn. I think this was a great sale and one of my best sellers for May. So hey, that is good for me. This is absolutely a brand you want to keep an eye out for. Taos. Taos. If you find this brand, there's a good chance it's a pickup. Mary Jane women's size 10 leather shoes. These were in fantastic condition. I found these, I'm surprised at some of the brands I find at the Goodwill bins and the shoes. And I think sometimes people just don't like doing shoes, and that's okay. But for me, this was an absolute pickup. This is a great brand, Taos, Taos. And these sold for $40.92. Actually, there's a lot of brands in shoes that do pretty well for me. I feel pretty confident in, but I also understand it's like a whole new world. No, I shouldn't be singing. I'm not a singer, but you know what I mean? It's a different world for people. So if shoes aren't your thing, that's okay too. I get it. I should never sing. So I found this belt at one of my favorite church sales. So the belts were $2. This is Jack Daniels. It was just sitting there, and I just thought it was fun. Like, it had all this, it kind of had like a Western feel to it, but it sold in 2 weeks. So I might have even underpriced it. I probably could have gotten a little bit more for it. It had a mix of leather and like a cowhide, like a furry feel to it. $2. I sold it for $23.25 in literally 2 weeks. That is a fantastic sale for me. And I don't know. I feel like there's value in belts if you can learn them a little bit more. I still am not an expert at belts, but that was a great flip. Now, here is a brand. I found this at a regular thrift store. This is a brand you definitely want to keep an eye on. It's Pomander. Pomander. Pomander? If that's how you say it. I don't even really know. But it's from Tuckernuck. Anything Pomander or Tuckernuck you want to keep an eye out for. Now, this was an extra small, and it did sit for like 2-3 months, but it sold for a fantastic price. I found it at a regular Goodwill, and actually it was a different thrift store. It wasn't even a Goodwill, and it was $4.99, and this sold for $39.07. This is absolutely a brand to keep an eye out for. Tuckernuck or Pomander Place. This is a very hot brand right now. Now, I did a little short on this item, and I don't know, maybe I undersold it. It sold in days. I found it at the bins, and it is Tory Burch. Tory Burch Silk Blend Women's Open Front Waterfall Cardigan. It was an excellent size at an extra large. It was a silk blend, and Tory Burch is a great brand. It sold for $36.27. I'm super, super happy with that. Super fast flip. Taking $1 to $36 that quickly is like, it's fantastic. I am not mad about that whatsoever. I think it is a great sale. Now, this is a brand that some people are passing on, and I don't like. I always tell you guys do you. I understand why people are passing on this brand. It used to be more sought after. It used to be a bolo. Now it's more of a bread and butter, which is NYDJ, not your daughter's jeans. Now, this I think is a little bit of an exception because it is new with tags, that it gave it a little bit more of a value. This is an optic white lift and tuck. They have a lot of specialty lift and tuck technology and all these different things. Look at this retail. $119 was the new with tags retail, and I sold it for $31. So it is a great value to my customer. They make really nice pieces. Honestly, the quality is there. Every time I pick up an NYDJ pair of jeans, they're nice. They're super nice. However, in the reselling world, sometimes we have to remember that just because it was priced a lot doesn't always mean that it's going to resell for that same amount. But this is still a great sale. My advice here, look for either bigger sizes, or right now in the jeans world, they're looking for more trousers or wide legs. So if you're going to be picky about it, then please be picky about it, because you don't want to, pick up items that aren't going to move. Just stack those reasons to pick them up. I understand why people are passing on this brand. This was a fantastic sale. This is another item that sold that is from that same church sale. Dresses were $3, and Ulla Popkin is a brand I personally love to sell. It's in my bread and butter of plus size brands. Ulla Popkin. I believe it's German. Like the items are made in Europe or something. But look how cute it's a color block floral dress, women's plus size 2022. And I put in the keywords cottagecore, boho, and country. I did find the stock using the Google Photo app, and this sold, I don't even know, within 2 weeks for $36.27. And I bought it at that church sale for $3. So a really great piece here. I love picking up these types of plus size items. They do really well for me. Now, this is an item I picked up at the Goodwill bins, and I feel like I'm on the tail end of the Barbie trend, but people for a long time were looking for, Barbie was really hot in the last 1 to 2 years, and people were looking for hot pink. And that's why I picked this up at the bins, and it was also Angora rabbit hair and lamb's wool. So that also elevated it, and I was surprised that this moved as quick as it did. So you might want to, always look for that material tag. I'm always telling you guys, and maybe there still is a little bit of desire for that hot pink, that kind of Barbie glam color, because this sold pretty well for me. So now this was the last of 3 daily practice items I had found at the bins. The other 2 had already sold. Daily Practice is an Anthropology brand, and these were wide leg crochet knit pants. Now, I did find the stock, and it looks way cuter than my picture. That's why sometimes adding in a stock photo can really show people how cute the items can be. I will admit that I probably should do some better steaming and drying on my items sometimes. They sit in a bin, and then they end up looking like crap. So I really should do better. Do better. I should do better. That's basically what I'm saying. But this still sold for $29.55. I got this at the bins. There was like 3 pairs altogether, and they're now all sold. And they all sold within 3 months. Daily Practice. Here's the tag for you guys. It's an Anthropologie brand. Of course, even if it wasn't Anthropologie, if you find these boho wide leg pants, it might be something to look at. That's kind of the style and the trend right now. Now here's another style-based piece. This is a vintage Y2K coquette tie front silk blouse with a flare long sleeve in size small. And the only keyword I fit in there, was the fairy one. But this is a great style-based example that you want to look out for. It is the satin finish, the tie up the chest, the flare sleeve, and of course knowing that it was made in USA and Y2K. That's how many things are we stacking there in order to know that it's a solid pickup. And this sold for $34.46. Very last eBay item here, and then we'll get into some Poshmark items, and then we'll be done. This I remember showing you guys in a haul video from a new to me thrift store that I had not been in, and I wasn't quite sure how well it would do. Vintage Y2K Lapis, Lapis, 100% silk dress. It does still have that baby doll cut to it with the, the line underneath the bust. It had a ruffle. It was 100% silk. And I paid about $6 for this, and I sold it for $26. So my profit there is about $15, and that's still okay. Remember, I also get my original cost back of $6. So my profit, the money I made, is $15, and then I get that $6 back in order to reinvest to another item. So I still think that's a great sale and a great flip. That one took like 4 or 5 months to sell, so not as fast, but still okay. Hey, this is an item you definitely want to keep an eye out for, and that is vintage bibs. Any type of vintage bib, really, you should be looking up at this point. Relaxed fit is better. Y2K, the older the better. Anything funky on it or embroidery would make it an exceptional find. However, this is a pair of vintage Gap Y2K bib overalls, blue denim, and I put in the keyword baggy. Bibs, vintage bibs kind of sell themselves right now. This sold for $32 plus shipping. I remember showing you guys this item in a haul video and saying, hey, if you are looking for or trying to learn about a men's utility or hiking pant, this was it. I paid $5 for these, and they sold for $35, and it makes perfect sense that it sold. This is a Y2K era, new with tags, Timberland cargo convertible pant in a size 33, 32. New with tags makes it obviously more desirable. The convertible part means that you can like zip off your shorts or like zip off the bottom part of your pants in the middle of your hiking expedition when you get hot, and that makes it more valuable. And Timberland is an okay Y2K. I mean, Timberland is a good Y2K era brand, and for all those reasons, this is an excellent pickup. I knew it would sell fairly quickly, and honestly, it's right on time. It makes perfect sense that this would sell right now. We're in hiking, camping, fishing, outdoors season, and this is the perfect pant. Sometimes you really have to just put yourself in the brain of the consumer. What are they looking for? What are they doing in this season? And it makes sense that this sold. Now, this is a brand that honestly sells for a lot, like original retail. It's Zaya, Z-Y-I-A. activewear, size extra large, white, long sleeve, and it was a modal blend. Modal is a great material. This sold for $20, and I did find it at the bins. I'm surprised I didn't find some kind of issue with it because it is white. However, I feel like Zaya is a little bit like LuLaRoe. It's dying. And that's just how some of these brands are. Zaya, a year or two ago, probably got this item would have maybe gotten 25 to 30, and it's slowly making kind of a decline. This is one of my favorite pieces from May, absolutely. And the customer loved it. Oh my gosh, I just exited out of it somehow. Oh my gosh, I'm such a mess sometimes. Here it is, vintage Y2K fairy grunge maxi dress. I put in prom, glam, and black. Now the brand I don't believe added really any value. I say that a lot in my vintage or Y2K pickups. Made in USA. It is the fact that it is vintage. It is a long maxi dress made in the USA with this very pretty beaded type of detail. And for all those reasons, that's why it sold. I say that all the time about our vintage Y2K items. Sometimes it's not because of the brand, it's because of the style. But it has to be vintage or Y2K. You can't just say that for any item, and it's especially because so many of these brands now, modern day brands, are trying to. All right, let's finish up with the last couple of these sales. This is the Vionic. This is a great brand. Another brand that I would say a few years ago you probably would have gotten a few more bucks out of. Let's see if I can find, there it is, Vionic. This was a wedge sandal, women's size 10, with a navy buckle studded accent. Again, you can see on the hardware there, it says Vionic. I love this brand. If you can pick it up for a reasonable price, then it is worth a flip. This is a funny item to me because I remember telling you guys I got this at that crazy church sale where everything was less than $1. And this was the one item I was not sure about, in my opinion. It was new with tags, dead stock, vintage 90s. It is wide leg, a pair of pants that is yellow with a polka dot, Max and Mabel. I didn't find any sold or comps or anything. And I was like, well, you know what? For $1, specifically because it was vintage and it was wide leg, I decided to just take a chance. It was less than $1. And these sold super quick. One of my fastest items that sold from that lot of church items, that church rummage sale items, for $30. And I paid less than $1. That's $25 in profit, 23. Still a great sale, taking an item for less than $1 and profiting $23. I wish I could do that all the time. And this was a little bit of, that was an item that I wasn't entirely sure was going to sell for a lot. So I'm super happy with that. This is a dress that I found at a regular thrift store, Young, Fabulous, and Broke. This is a brand that is sold at a variety of stores, so you have to kind of be careful. But this was new with tags with a tie-dye print. And I thought for those reasons it might sell well. And that's why I picked it up. I paid $6.99 and it sold for $45. Young, Fabulous, and Broke. But again, this is a brand that is sold at I don't want to say TJ Maxx because I don't think it's TJ Maxx, but one of those brands that's sold at multiple places where it is heavily discounted. So sometimes you just have to be careful, but this sold great for me. I'm very happy with this. Taking that $6 into $45, and then the retail was $169. So for my customer, that's 70% off. So it's great for everybody. It's a win-win-win. Now this is like a easy bread and butter. I found this at the bins. I paid 50 cents for this. Chico's, again, is a brand that I will risk maybe at the bins. I thought this was really cute for summer. Tie front, hot pink, size large button-up shirt. Like, this just looks like a very closet staple, like classic summer piece. Pair this with your favorite jean shorts, Bermudas, even a pair of white shorts or khakis. Like, this is just a very classic item from Chico's. I only got 15 bucks for it, but it's $10 profit off of an item I paid 50 cents for, and that's perfectly okay with me. Now, this is a pair of jeans that I still pick up. It's BKE. This is the Peyton. If you find heavily embroidered items, boot cut or flare, that's where you're going to make some money. These were size 32, boot cut mid-rise with that heavy stitching. And these sold for $22 plus shipping. This is like a cowgirl or rocker, someone who really loves that heavy stitching. And BKE honestly still does okay for me. So it is one of the few brands of jeans that I will pick up. Now, this is like a plus. I don't know. I had a hard time with this because Eileen Fisher is a great brand. But this is an example of where, like, you really have to make sure you know what you're picking up because it's only sold for $22. It is a linen blend and a plus size. So I probably should have made sure this looked a little bit better. It's super wrinkly, so shame on me. Steam or dry your items so that they look nice and don't throw them in a bag and let them sit too long. So I really thought this was going to do better. It's still a great flip. However, I don't know. I thought it would do better. So it's a plus minus. Try to definitely, like I said, dry or steamer items. I don't know. This sold for $22 plus shipping. It's just a great example of an item that should really do very well. This probably should have been in the 30s, but it ended up in the 20s. And sometimes that's just the way it happens. Here's my last item of this crazy video of what sold. And this is a vintage. This is a brand I've been selling for years. I remember putting in my haul video this brand that I've sold for forever. This is equestrian, western, cowboy, cowgirl, rodeo, all of those things. Eli Cattleman Pearl Snap. Make sure you know what a pearl snap is. Size large. Now, this sold for 15 plus ship really, really quickly. It's just from the bins. I love the detail here in the seams. If you can find an item with more like Aztec, tribal, like Western print, you're going to get more for it. But this brand always sells pretty quickly for me. Eli Cattleman. Just like a really nice Western piece. Now, I told you guys that I am only doing, I am just doing these two pieces with my what sold videos. You guys have to check in. I know I'm a hot mess and I really apologize here, but I'm super excited for $5,000 in sales for May. I think that's fantastic. As someone who does it part-time, I would really still love, I'm just like anybody else. I would really love to continue to do better, but I also know that the summer months are really hard. So if I can maintain that for a few months, I think that is great. And then maybe set some new goals in fall. I'm really happy with all these sales. We have a mix of great brands, vintage, style-based, fast, bread and butter, all the things. And I hope that you guys learned something from all of that. I know it's a lot to take in, and especially with my scatterbrained commentary, it probably isn't easy, but hopefully something was helpful, especially if you're just listening to me while you drive or you're listing or sourcing somewhere. I really do hope it was helpful because That's my intention. I can't always guarantee that that's what happens because I'm just a mess, but I'm really happy with that. I mean, you can't, I always say data doesn't lie. I sold $5,000 on eBay, Poshmark, and Depop part-time. I think that's great, and I'm really happy with it. And you guys check in, comment below, ask questions. Of course, if you would like, comment, share, whatever, that is always appreciated. You guys, I hope you know how much I love you and I appreciate you guys. And I will see you on the next video.